Hey guys, what is going on? It's Jay Campbell, of course, the author of a bunch of books and some new books coming, and the founder of TOT Revolution. I'm very excited today, a long time coming, to be joined in studio virtually by Michael Bertonatti. Bertonatti?
Oh, Bertonatti.
I wanted to call you Miguel, but your name's Michael. So.
Miguel. You can call me Miguel, Michael, whatever.
All right. So just a little bit of personalization. So I met Michael at AMMG in April, and he was sitting right next to me, and he's the owner of his clinic. His clinic, by the way, is called Medical Health Institute in Miami. He's actually the #1 5-star rated clinic in all of Miami. This guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Sitting right next to me at the lecture for Dr. Rob, and I didn't know him, and he didn't know me. He knew of me because he watches the stuff, but like I turned to talk to one of his doctors, and he looks at me and says, Jay Campbell, I'm gonna tell you stuff. And it was just like since then, man, me and him have like had total bro love. This guy's like super high conscious. He's a lot different than most of the people in this space. And, I've wanted to get him on now for literally over 2 months, but we've just been so busy. He's building his business, and obviously I'm building mine. So it's an honor to have you here, man. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you, bro?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I think my hard work has shown the fruits that I've actually been able to reap by being on your podcast. Is a blessing, man. I truly am grateful to be on here and be part of the movement. I
appreciate it. And it's a blessing to have you. And like I said, man, you're a very high conscious guy, and you and I have had a number of conversations off air. But as I always do on this podcast, before we get into the meat and bones, how did you get to where you are here today? Tell us your story.
Holy shit. So I started suffering of ED when I was 22 years old. And, you can imagine if you can go back to when you were 22 and having your friends talking about girls, asses, tits. I don't know if I'm supposed to.
No, yeah, you can say it all. You know that. Pure transparency on this.
All right, cool. Well, talking about women and, they never had any issues, and it became something that I internalized and I couldn't verbalize because I thought I was abnormal. And sure enough, I started researching, started studying nutrition online, going to different workshops, conferences, just researching. I even went to a chiropractor thinking it was a pinched nerve, which I still sort of support that. But anyways, through the search of fixing my ED, I got into the business when I was 25, worked for 2 different clinics where I saw the doctors didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Right.
And sure enough, December 2015, I got the opportunity to, get this off the ground, the Medical Health Institute, as you guys see in the background. And here I am 4 years later.
That's awesome, man. Well, okay, so let's talk, before we jump into the topics though, what drew you to this realm? I mean, obviously you're a fitness guy, kind of like me. You wanted to be in better shape, look better naked, blah, blah, blah. You had erectile dysfunction, but like really what drew you in, like in your opinion right now, like, and I don't mean from a spiritual, because we'll get to that, but like what really just drew you to this?
Personally, I just knew I was 15. Okay. I was a little fat kid, not too fat, but I was, let's say, overweight when I was a kid. And I got bullied around so much that one day at 14, turning 15, I woke up and I said I would never be called fat again in my life.
Right.
And I've never stopped working out. I mean, I wish I can find those people so I can kiss their feet because I am where I am today. And I love what I do. But it led me on this search to take care of myself aesthetically. And, through insecurities, I knew having a good body attracts girls, etc. Typical thing when you're a kid. But when I was about to hit 25, I just knew innately my body was going to slow down or was slowing down. At least I thought in my mind it was slowing down, which now that I realize at 34, yeah, right. I'm chilling. But I thought it was slowing down.
Year, by the way, bro, you got one more year.
Well, 33. I'm going to 34 right now.
Oh, okay, so you got 2 more years before all of a sudden you get out of bed in the morning and you're like, hey, I'm just saying, like when I was 33.
Anyway, I don't know, man. I feel pretty confident about the way I look and the way I feel.
No, I'm just saying, like injuries and stuff like that. You can't.
But I learned from my clientele, and I've been taking care of myself since I've been 27. So I don't know. I'm a different breed. I've been really taking care of myself.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You look amazing.
So the whole point, I knew that my body was slowing down, and then I heard this word hormone replacement, which I've been teaching Jay, by the way, everybody. It's not called hormone replacement because we're not replacing your production. We're optimizing your damn production, okay? Get that clear. That's old school. That's dinosaur.
Thank you.
So I heard the word hormone, and I was like, light bulb. That was my calling, man. And I was like, I just delved into it. Literally a week later, I was working in a clinic because of a friend that knew somebody that owned the clinic. And then it was 4 or 5 days later, I was already working for the clinic. And then it was just this thing that it empowered me, man, because as I fixed my issue and I started seeing more men with the issue, I'm like, whoa, this is more common, and this goes even deeper. We'll get into the subject later, but it messes with your psyche. It really messed with my psyche, and I fell in love with the industry. That's awesome. How I got into it.
So the first topic, and I'll kind of branch it off a little bit louder, is optimization, testosterone optimization therapy for men 30 and below. And, very clearly you've already said that there's a massive, understanding now that a lot of younger men today have erectile dysfunction due to social media, due to online porn, due to, masturbation, because it's so free and ubiquitous. And obviously, as you know, and we've talked, I have plenty of doctors who talk about this issue and how prevalent it is. And even young men like 16 or 17 or 18, their parents will bring them to doctors, like your doctors and any doctor that's in this game, and say, my son cannot get an erection around a woman.
Let me add to that. Literally 2 weeks ago, I had a 53-year-old father come in with his 18-year-old son. Right. The son had a testosterone of 214.
Yeah.
While the father was like at 350. I know the numbers don't mean much, but
no, they do. No, they mean something, because we know that 214 is actually 100, right?
You're
and they lower the standard mean deviation. They keep lowering the rates. So. Well, don't worry. We're going to get our tinfoil hats on as this conversation goes deeper. But yeah, so just talk about that. Like, how widespread, in your opinion, obviously you have very great clinical experience now and massive number of patients, but how widespread is the testosterone deficiency epidemic really?
So I can tell you that in the past, I've been in it for 6 years. I can literally tell you that weekly I get at least 3 to 5 calls of kids saying, hey, I'm suffering from premature ejaculation, or they can't get an erection, because I'm monitoring the calls, and it's just constant kids having the issue. As you said, it comes from burning out the receptors from getting dopamine hits of liking pictures or whatever they're into.
Whatever it is.
But just they're just consumed by social media or electronics in a way that we're drained in many ways. Yeah. And not to mention, I don't know if you knew this, but in this country, there's about 74 billion pounds of chemicals produced daily. Yeah. And that's about 250 pounds per person.
It's incredible.
It's just crazy. And by the way, that's not including pharmaceuticals, pesticides, fuels, or food additives. These are 4 classes of chemicals that are really well known to us. So it's like, what are we doing? We're swimming in chemicals.
It's a non-stop war against our biological systems, Michael. Literally.
Like, at this point, I realized the only way to get away from this, you would literally have to move to a peak of a mountain, grow your own vegetables, meditate every single day. And that's the only way I see you naturally optimizing. But to live in a society, in a city today, I really have little hope in that sense for this. If there's not a shift in humankind and consciousness, it's just getting worse. From my experience, from being on the clinical side, I'm seeing every single day it gets worse.
Well, so let me ask you, of course, you're singing my song, but like, why still does the clinical community, i.e. sick care medicine, illness medicine, whatever the hell you want to call it, why do they still not admit there's a problem?
You know what? I don't have an answer for that right now. Yeah. I just know that they're definitely anti-testosterone, anti-everything that we're doing.
Michael, do you think it's just money? Do you think it's the pharmaceutical company?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's so much money involved. It's a 247, just on the psyche part, it's $270 billion yearly industry. Right. My part, which I'm ADHD, and which kind of caused my ED, is $143 billion. Absolutely. It's definitely money. Right. It's too big. You're dealing with pocket change compared to, people, industries that are producing trillions, for all I know. I really don't have the number, but yeah, it's absolutely money. Yeah, from my experience.
Yeah, no, obviously I agree with you, but again, it goes back to the rest of this podcast and what I say in every single podcast, because, obviously I interview amazing people like you almost every Thursday. There's enough of us, thank God, that we are creating a bifurcation, right? And the bifurcation is, to very simply explain it, is all of the people that will, follow the sick care medical program till their death, right? Which is getting into their 50s and 60s, taking 25 plus pills a day, rotting in the inside until they go bankrupt or die. And obviously the pharmaceutical industry wants both to happen at the same time, right? As soon as they run out of money, they become a carcass. They replace themselves, or us, which is we don't give a shit about how much it costs to fix our health, because
Absolutely.
we know that our health is all that matters. And without our health, we can't do anything else. Like
Absolutely.
you said, they're warring us from every angle. So we have to make smart decisions and be proactive, but that's where we're at, bro. And so when we do our podcasts and I talk to people like you and you talk to other people like me, we can only do what we can do, which is educate, inform, enlighten.
Absolutely.
And then those people that are going to choose the proactive route and don't care about, it doesn't cut my medical, or what is it, my copayment, I can't, it doesn't.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah, you come insurance company, please go find somebody else.
Dude.
You are not my clients.
But bro, let's be honest. Let's make this one of the points right now. I mean, that's the bifurcation. You still have people who believe that they can only afford, in their mind, they can only afford their copayment.
Right.
And then you have us. But it's like, look, I get in your mind that your copayment is how you justify your medical costs. But let's face it, that shit is failed. The entire Obama Affordable Care debacle.
Sick care management.
It's failed patients and it's failed doctors. You know what it's like to go through insurance subrogation billing. It's a farce.
I don't have insurance.
That's what I'm saying.
I have an emergency insurance in case something happened to me. I need to go to emergency, but that's it. You think I want to go? Yeah, right.
Exactly. But as you know,
it's embarrassing.
80% of doctors are still attached to that nonsense.
Right.
So imagine being attached to that nonsense and playing the game and then also trying to, like, on the side, like, peddle hormones. I mean, come on.
I mean, listen to me. I see it exactly the way you see it, but I also see it like how society has been built in a way that we're in the rat wheel, just in the hamster wheel all day long. And then, if you go to medical school for 10 years, I've always said,
totally
if you want to object what a book has, you ain't fucking graduating. It's period. You don't have time to object, or you either learn this and you either become a believer or you get the hell out. You're not becoming a fucking doctor.
That's exactly true, man.
So what happens is, as they continue to study, it gets to a point that 10 years later or 12 years later, they got mortgages, they got kids, they got dreams as well. And unfortunately, they don't know how. I don't even know if it's they don't know how to look, or they're just scared to look for another possibility, because that's the straw they're breathing out to survive. And as you said, the average doctor taking insurance sees literally 20 to 30, almost 40 patients a day. You can't know a patient in 12 minutes. Last time I went to a doctor, I walked in, the guy never looked at me in the eyes. They don't even write anymore. They talk into their mic, patient, oh, yeah, he's having a headache. He wants Adderall, Literally was there for 8 minutes. No bullshit. 8 minutes.
Oh my God.
And walked right out of the consult. That was the day I promised myself I will never pay for insurance again. Never. And I got myself some medical emergency insurance in case some crazy thing happens to me. I'm taken care of. But that's where I realized these guys, it's what they know. And people like you and me are putting the education out there to, and that's why I love the one that, no, testosterone causes cancer, all that shit. You already know all about it. So they'll look at it, and since they don't know any better answer, they'll typically say it's a genetic thing. Oh, no, that's a genetic thing. Or stay away from that, because they don't even have time to really look at other optional, like other options or vehicles to achieve optimal health. And to wrap it up in that sense, there's one common denominator that I have found in individuals that are healthy. People who are really healthy and value their health will never question price. Right. Like, they don't even care. Like, they'll 2010, whatever it is, I don't care what I have to pay for my health. I mean, I can personally tell you, I spend probably $1,500 a month on my health.
Of course.
I'm a walking product of everything that I do.
Of course.
So that's educating people. Most people think we can go to the doctor and it's like we're we're like a car. You can replace my door. No, you can't replace your arm. I can't replace your heart. Well, maybe the future's going there, but so now we got to stop that mentality.
I mean,
that's the way I see it.
No, it's awesome. Very, very well said. We kind of, if you want to talk about erectile dysfunction more, we can, you kind of hit on it. But just like, how erectile dysfunction affects people's self-esteem, of course, younger guys. I mean, obviously older guys, of course, too, but I mean, just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll keep it short in that sense. What I really wanted to touch this because I know that you have massive crowds following you, and a lot of them are young, and I want the young society to know, hey, look, I've been there. I know what it feels like,
awesome.
To carry always the blue pill, and then it became the yellow pill, the Cialis pill in my pocket, where, I would party, and if I didn't have it, forget about going to downtown.
Right.
I didn't even get it there because it was so embarrassing. But when you start to play that little game, I'm going to give you a synapse of what happens when you turn my age and you find somebody in your life. And this is why I love to take men's health. I mean, for God's sake, we trademark, redesign your health with medical science and make your sex life great again.
It's awesome.
For a reason, because tell me two things you don't do for happiness and sex.
Right. Nothing.
We do everything for happiness and sex. So to give you a whole point, I started, with the AD issue, always carrying the pill. And then my mind became dependent of, if I don't have the pill, forget about it. And kids go out, and I've been out many times. I mean, that's the other thing. I see Viagra and Cialis more than you can possibly imagine. I'm in the business, so I have little kids like, hey man, can you help me with Viagra? I'm like, no. How about you come to the office and we check, we see how we can help you. So the whole point is, when you carry on this pattern of playing this little blue yellow pill thing, what happens when you get in a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen many relationships, including myself. I've lost relationship because, first time impression, second time, third time, man, I'm a monster. But when it comes to being in a relationship, you can't pre-plan sex every time. It just happens.
Right.
So, for example, I have my girl breathing down my neck and she's like, hey, she's ready to go. No, baby, I'm working, or I have to invent some excuse because I need to go take my pill in order to respond. And then you end up sabotaging your relationship because you don't want to deal with the factor that, hey, baby, I'm suffering from ED. Straight up.
Yeah.
So it's causing dysfunctions not only dysfunction down there, but a dysfunction in communication.
Mm-hmm.
That's a subject that we'll get into, toxic masculinity, where, hey, we can't talk about these things. And these are things that you need to talk about, because if you don't, they become a serious issue. It became literally a 9-year journey for me to solve. That now I'm comfortable to talk about it in camera because I was able to take care of the issue. So I am confident that no matter what age it is, we can help them. There's a way to restore the system. And my whole way of explaining this usually to people is, look, what happens when you cut yourself? Do you keep bleeding profusely, or do the platelets, seal the cut, and then you start to heal and your body heals, right? Your cells are made to regenerate. If you gave the body half a chance by putting the right substance, the right nutrients, stabilizing some of your brain waves, if you're freaking addicted to social media and stuff, maybe just then you'll have a really good natural response. And for me, it was fear. I had so much fear, and we'll get into that. That's part of the subject we're going to talk about today. But fear for me was a driving factor in my life. And that fear, that contraction in my chest, like, oh, I'm not safe. Neurologically, immunologically, and my autonomous system, my nervous system, I know it affected me somehow, my sex drive. And that's why I literally had ED. Like, I know this, I've gotten this a lot from a lot of patients that I've spoken to, again, because I've opened up, where, when it's so severe, when you'll start jerking off when you're young, and you're jerking off to a flaccid, and when you're getting to orgasm, that's when you start getting an erection. Wow. And that's why you start having premature ejaculation. As soon as a kid tells me premature ejaculation, I already know there's a 90% chance he's gone through that.
Wow.
Which, by the way, pelvic floor training is a great way to help that, which I've done it.
Okay, well, let's, just to stay there, because obviously you're an expert understanding personally, but then also, working with so many patients. I want to put it in a different way, but so vulnerability and masculine toxicity. So we live in this fucked up world now where being a strong, alpha, masculine, I call it hyper masculine because I hate the word alpha, but like a hyper masculine dude is frowned upon. It's looked down upon. You've got all this bullshit, sensationalism with the media, with making ads. Huge retail companies and brands are doing this bullshit, right? About like being a tough guy, strong alpha male is like wrong. Again, hyper masculine is what I call it. Do you think, and it's a two-part question, but do you think, well, let me ask you first. Why does the media still sensationalize and demonize the usage of therapeutic, right? We're not talking about anabolic steroids. We're talking about therapeutic hormonal optimization, which obviously is testosterone and thyroid and potentially peptide stimulating growth hormone and stuff like that too. Why is it so demonized in the public perception? And that guys like you and me have to be careful, sadly, like when we talk about this stuff and what we do, to not be perceived as steroid abusers.
Right. It all boils down once again, buddy, to money. Why? You can't put a patent on a banana. Right. You can't put a patent on air. Right. You can't put a patent on what's bioidentical to what you produce. So as long as they don't have control over it, because what I understand, when they patent a medication, it's 17 to 20 years that you hold the patent, and then they change the molecule. They do, they add a branch or something to the molecule, and then they repatent. They name it Cytomel or whatever. They name it some other bullshit, and then they keep controlling the system. Right. So. Obviously, like Pfizer produces depot testosterone, there's branding testosterone, but do you think they want to promote something? They have massive competition with compounding pharmacies, and just more people have more access and availability to it. So obviously,
hold on, because of the control, I want you to go deeper on this. It's an amazing answer. I want you to go deeper on this. So because of the control, they are going to do the opposite and institute fear. True?
Absolutely. That it produces prostate cancer, it produces heart disease. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Right. But let's stay there, because this is important, and I've never had this conversation on any of my shows, so I'm glad you bring this out. But so we know that they want control of the money and the resources from the pharmaceuticals, right? Big pharma, they're the dark forces. But truthfully, in addition to them not making money, they also have to do the opposite. And they have to tell everybody that using therapeutic testosterone will make your hair fall out, your dick shrivel, your brain not work. It'll cause all kinds of side effects. I mean, dude, we just uncovered the rabbit. I mean, we've just, went down a deep rabbit hole, but we uncovered the real truth. And this is the truth. The truth is they don't make money off of it. And because they don't make money off of it, they have to make everybody out there fearful of using it. Because if they weren't, and they were following what guys like you and me say, and your clinic does, bro, there wouldn't even be fucking hospitals.
Absolutely. I've always said, when you optimize the neurological, metabolic, and immunological pathways of the body, your body is not designed to get sick. Right. Like if you really look, if you gave it the right amount of oxygen, the right amount of nutrients, your body would never break down. But since we're exposed to so much toxicity and so many things we don't even know that we're vulnerable to, how it's affecting our health. And that's why we see people deteriorating faster, more psychologically than anything else. And I think it all starts here. Yeah. And physiologically affects everything. We'll eventually get to that. For example, I went through a fear factor period for the past 3 weeks where I'm fully optimized in every shape and form you can imagine. Right. And the fear literally ate me biochemically, where I didn't have sex with my wife for almost 3 weeks. And I told my wife, I'm losing purpose in what I'm doing. So to add to what you're saying, yes, absolutely. It's completely controlled. They don't want people to go into this business, because if you do, we don't just promote hormones. We don't just promote biochemical change. We promote a lifestyle. We promote, nutrition, exercise. As we know, exercise produces more BDNF in the brain. Makes you freaking smarter.
Oh, full spectrum. I just came up with something from you saying it. I never even ever thought of this. Thank you. Full spectrum optimization.
Hey, beautiful. I love that. It is so true. It's that we don't just do hormones. We're doing something to. I always say like this. Look, we're souping up your system from a golf cart to a Formula One. Now, if you don't exercise, if you don't apply good healthy habits by changing your lifestyle, your diet, etc., it's like going to the garage, turning on the car, It's going to sound different. It's going to feel a little different, but you're not going to really get to see what it does until you get out there moving, exercising. And we're not telling you to bodybuild. I don't bodybuild. I don't do anything. I don't care about that. I just care about maintaining a good physique so I can live 150 for all I care. I don't care if my skin sacks to the ground. As long as I can get an erection, I can smile, I can feel energetic, and I can work out. Hey, I'm a happy piper, man. And that's what we instill with people. It's not just here. We're not fixing just your hormones. We're changing your mentality. Right. That's the thing. You got to change your mentality. Today, you go outside, you got 100 million varieties of to pick what to eat, what not to eat. And obviously, if you're not disciplined, like we're different human beings. That's what you have to understand. Most people are not disciplined to know, hey, this is the right fuel for my body. Right. What we try to teach in my clinic, Monday through Friday, you hustle and you take care of yourself. Right. Saturday and Sunday, you give yourself a little reward, not a whole day.
Yeah, of course.
Just one meal where you give yourself a reward. But if you outweigh the whole work you're doing during those 5 days to those 2 days, you can't compare it. So as you said, it's a full spectrum of approach that we're doing. It's not that's just fixing hormones.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, let's keep going deeper, and then we're going to get into spirituality and consciousness, which is going to be our favorite part of this whole podcast. And it's already been absolutely amazing. But you're talking, one of your points you gave me was relentless education. And I love that because –
Wait, before we go in there, the vulnerability, masculinity, and toxicity, I wanted to touch a little more because this is a personal thing for me since – you bring on very successful people to your podcast. And, for the most part, we all have a story. We all have struggled before. But I'm a Venezuelan individual, immigrant that came into this country that literally had to defy every single odd to be where I am today. Right. So I've had a lot of self-esteem problems. When I was a kid, that's what got me into business. I was a little fat, chunky kid. Today, I take out my shirt, I walk around 8 to 10% body fat, and I'm happy where I am. Right. So since I lived my life out of fear a lot, I'm thankful to God, even though I wasn't with him, but I'm thankful to that. I'm thankful to God that
he was with you even when you weren't with him.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And he was with me even though when I wasn't with him. Hey, man, it's real for me. God it's something very powerful in my life. I had lost my faith for a very long time, and I'm happy to walk next to him. Anyways, that's another subject. So I've always had my brother to steam off, to speak to, like all my fears, all the troubles I've had, because I was fed, just so you know, I was fed Ritalin since I was 7 years old. By the time I turned 12, they gave me 60 milligrams of Adderall daily. That's a derivative of crystal meth. I was going freaking insane, literally insane. And that's where sort of how I got into business as well. But not being able to express yourself I'm as alpha as you can get, but sometimes I have things that I want to communicate to a friend because, hey, I'm having a shitty day, man. I'm overwhelmed. I'm sad. I'm anxious. It's a right to be scared. It's a right to feel overwhelmed. It's a right to feel depressed temporarily. It's funny. It's just that when we feel things, we think we are that. I am depressed. No, you're not depressed. You're experiencing that depression in a moment. But everything comes and goes. Nothing is constant. Right. But sometimes we get stuck on patterns. And I got stuck on a mental pattern where I was living my life purely out of survival. And I was living every day like I was going to die. And I couldn't express except my brother. And as you know, my brother's locked up, etc. And there's limited times I can talk to him. I can't just pick up the phone and call this individual. Right. So I felt that thing of, wow, how many of my friends don't reach out? None of my friends reach out and talk to me like, hey, man, talk to me. So I'll send you that article. It's about being able to find a buddy, like, hey, man, you're just going to be the buddy I talk to, right? Like, I'll call you maybe at 1 a.m. You can call me and just let me steam off and let me talk and let me express myself. And so I can speak to somebody because we're not speaking these things. And when we internalize them, they start to shove and press in a way that it affects you biochemically. It literally did that for me. I know that for a fact. So that to me is a big point, guys. Find a buddy you can talk to. Right. You're not a pussy for talking to a guy that, hey, man, you feel scared, whatever your situation is, bro. If you're an alpha, if you're a dude, you can talk to another man, period. I've been doing it for years, and I feel humbled by that I have a brother to do that. And if you don't have a brother, find somebody.
Listen, I'm glad you said that, Michael, because I pay for spiritual mentorship, and I talk to people that are like, like I said to you, as you know, masters, and they are teaching me ways to live in the matrix but not be in the matrix, right? So it's like I understand how all those things and how important it is, and I'm really glad that you said it, because I want to go back to something you said. And you said that that you have to be careful on how you speak, right? Because how you speak is truly how you define yourself. And so it's like, in my learnings and my spiritual mentorship, I've found out that the thoughts we think and the actions that we take are what truly define us. And so when you immediately label something negative about yourself, then guess what you just did? The universe is a mirror, and boom!
I'm stupid. I am not good enough.
It just popped back that you're not worthy. And so it's like, it's so true. When you're having these conversations, which I highly recommend, and I'm in same agreement with you, you go crazy in this informational day and age without having someone to talk to. And as you know, so many of our younger generation are socially malformed because they don't talk. They use this, they text, it's a bunch of nonsense. There's no social, right? There's no social interaction.
There's no social interaction whatsoever.
And we are, as human beings, designed to use our voices.
The Harvard University study of 75 years, a 75-year-old study where they followed men, and the ones that lived the longest were the ones that had relationships. Exactly. We need relationships. We were made to communicate.
Exactly. No, absolutely. But yeah.
Look it up if you haven't read it. It's called the 75-year-old Harvard study, where it's about they followed I don't know how many men for 75 years, and they saw the death rates, and the ones that lived the longest were the ones that had the most amount of quality relationships in life. Because you can have all the money in the world and surround yourself by bullshit, but it's the quality of a relationship you're having around you. If you can really if you have to just, you can just feel free to talk to somebody.
Right.
To have those type of relationships, that's a true friend. That's a true mother from another mother, brother from another mother, whatever you call it. So it's very important that we speak to find that person where you can speak to. And for me, again, it was the fear. I literally thought I was not good enough. I learned how to dance salsa professionally. I learned how to work out like a maniac. I learned windsurfing. I learned kite surfing. I learned snowboarding. Anything I touched, I needed to be the best because I couldn't be normal because I was never good enough. I carried this thing constantly. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. And I could not just chill and be like, you know what? Let me reap the rewards of what I've done so far. And that's because it came from one thought. I'm not good enough.
Right. And as you know, I told you the same thing. My dad, beat into me that I wasn't good enough either. I mean, most of us who are successful and are driven to make it have that underlying, root ideology of fear, because we weren't loved, or we didn't know how to love ourselves, or like you said, trust ourselves. So, I mean, obviously I share the same path that you talk about right now. But before we get into consciousness, and we're going to end the show with consciousness, there's two other bullet points. And I want to just go one by one, but in the same answer. So I can give you like 10 minutes, you and me 10 minutes to go deep on consciousness.
Right.
So relentless education.
If you notice, I left the last one for consciousness,
I know.
which is what I'm going through.
So relentless education, okay, and obviously I love that word, or that phraseology, but the truth is that in this bifurcation that we already talked about, you have to be fully self-aware. And, my special forces guys, I always borrow this from them, that, they talk about what is the most important thing in life besides, elevating your consciousness, which we're going to get to, is becoming situationally aware, right? Like you have to be situationally aware depending on what you want to do in your life, right? So for like you and me, choosing health optimization, full spectrum health optimization.
Full spectrum. I'm gonna really use that.
I already wrote it down. But you and I, it came from our stuff. So you and I, you see me writing it down, but you and I could definitely trademark. But here's the thing. The situational awareness for you and me is the only way, and people like us, is the only way that we can become optimized, right? Because no one is going to help you, Michael, as you know. And the system is actually attacking at all times, 24/7, even when you're asleep. If you put this next to in your room,
you're dead.
This is disrupting your sleep. People don't even know that. They use this as a phone. They wake up in the middle of the night, they check the phone. What time is it? I'm like, dude.
I tell all our clients, put your phone on airplane mode before you go to bed.
And don't have it in your room. I mean, the EMFs from this shit, even when it's turned off, are insane. But anyway, back to that. Because I want your comment. So situational awareness, which again is relentless education, in your mind is defined by what? Reading all the books, watching the podcast, continue. What else?
Well, you know, I think that's one of the things that's lacking in today's in today's new generation, to the younger one. I put myself in that position of relentless education because unfortunately, when I came to this country, you know, I never was stable in one place. Meaning, I moved here when I was 10. I moved back to Venezuela when I was 14. If you notice the age, the important age when you're growing up, I moved in middle of December and then came back in this, when I was 17, 3 years later, in middle of December again. And that change never let me literally knock, like, home down on one skill. Not to mention that my father was always there with the money, but not emotionally. He was never like, hey, son, how you doing? Like, gave me the tools to grow, you get me? So since I never had that opportunity, I always feel it with a fear of, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what am I going to be? What am I going to do? And, you know, they tell you from very early age, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's like, how the fuck should I know? I'm 17 years old. I have no idea. You know, at least give me some tools to go within. If you learned the word education, if you look at the Greek derivative of education, it means to learn within. Right. To learn within. So we're not taught to learn within in order to find. Maybe by learning within, I'm going to find the answer what I want to do on the outside. There you go. So I had this, I guess it came because I had a very egotistical, successful father where I felt that in order to prove myself, I needed to constantly educate myself. Right. So I went to school, I got my AA, and when I was going to go to get my, which I'm so happy, I really don't give a shit if I didn't get my associates, I didn't graduate, basically. Right. The fact that I didn't graduate, I got my arts associate. I got a basic college degree, okay? It's to standards, I'm educated. So here are the basics, okay? All right, so I didn't specialize in anything or anything like that. But because I didn't have the opportunity, I lived in this country as a ghost, as an immigrant for 5 years, getting around through friends, using my brother's name, when it just crazy stuff, man. And I kept educating myself by reading, watching YouTube. Like today, somebody tells me I don't have the tools or I can't learn something. Dude. You are done because you can press one key on your computer, on your phone, and you can have everything that you can find in every library worldwide in your phone right now. Literally. It's bullshit. Amazing. Like back in the days, I think of back in my parents' you have to go to a bookstore or a library and find a book that's outdated, filled with spider webs. You had to pull out a card catalog and you're doing decimal and research and actually go running around the library to find one book. I feel, thank you, God. I never had to go through that. And I feel blessed and honored. Honored that I didn't have to experience that. Like, I think of anything immediately. Hey, Siri, what did it? Boom, I got my freaking answer. You know, maybe it might not be the right answer, but what I mean is relentless education of, for me, it was nutrition. So as you know, in the nutrition world or health world, one thing says this is good for you, the other thing says bad. Which one is right? So the more it's like the more you dig, the more things start to be clear, things start to clear up. And today, most people, I want to be the president of this, or I want to be an owner of business. Yeah, Dick, where's the work behind it? Exactly. There's some grinding that you got to put behind it. People want self-gratification now. Instantly, bro. Now. Well, you just hit so many topics and veins, and I'm going to focus on that. We are going to get to consciousness, but I had a guy 2 days ago. You're going to laugh out loud. I had a guy 2 days ago who's actually, I won't mention his name, but he's a very successful entrepreneur in the Middle East, and he's well known, and he reaches out to me on Facebook every now and then to get me to talk about my specialties. And he asked me for an answer, and I wrote him back, and I'm like, bro, you and I have been talking for 6 years. You've read my books, theoretically. You've told me you've read them. You watch my stuff. You're informed. Why are you asking me this question that you should already know? And literally his answer was like, because you're the guru, you're the expert. And I just, listen, I just want your answer. And I said to him, I'm like, bro, that's not how it works. He goes, yes, it is. Today, all of us are too busy in our lives to have to read and research. I swear to God, he said that to me. So, bro, I want to serve this up to you. I'm actually going to take some of his thread and put it in one of my upcoming books about the laziness, because you've already just said it. You said it very well. This is my phraseology. I want you to expound on this. He said,
or I'm sorry, he didn't say that. I already told you what he said, but my interpretation of that is like, I am so lazy because of technology, because of distractions, because of social media, that I will not even read one sentence to get the answer. I want the answer given to me, because you just said it. People have a Siri, Google, and an Alexa mindset. Blah, blah, blah. What's the answer? No one wants to do the work.
Nobody wants to do the work, man. And it's sad. And I wonder what type of lifestyle is that guy living, and what type of quality of relationship is he having? If
It's
you just
terrible.
want things, give them to me. Things are not made like that. If you really want the gold, the diamond aspect and value of things, you got to put in the work. There's no way around that. You got to put in the work. That's what builds the confidence. That's what builds who you are. The work, the sacrifice, the relentless amount of hours put into it until you're like, shit, I understood this now. I am very clear on what I'm depicting or what I'm studying. So yeah, I find that all the time with me too. I'm not at your level, but I find people like, Michael, just give me the answer. I'm like, no, how about this? I'll give you a link. You do the research and then you come back to me, and maybe I can help you understand a little better, but show me you put in the work. I'm not going to make it easy for you.
Thank you. Keep going.
That if I make it easy for you, then I wonder how you're constantly trying to trick that onto somebody else, and that person is learning that from them. And then everybody's like, wait. It's just, everything is by word of mouth. It's like, wait, where's the actual reading? Where's the actual data?
Michael, when we give them the
sacrifice?
When we give them the answer, we don't do them any good.
Any favor? Yeah, you're not serving anything by doing that.
They literally learn nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't do it. Okay, last 10 minutes are about consciousness. I'm going to give you some statements. I know you're like me, and I want you just to expound on them, and I'll cut you off, but this is going to be deep. I don't really talk a lot about these. Okay, so obviously we both live a very similar life. It's all about doing the work. We do the work.
Got to put in the work, baby.
We know that, the divine, however people define God, source, the prime creator energy. And again, we're not going to get into religion here, but
fuck that is God, man. I don't care what you put.
You and I know it's God and Jesus and all those things, but the reality is like for every people, because I've got a big following. I don't want
right.
But listen, the truth is, bros, you and I walk the same path every day, and we know that if we're in service to the divine in all our thoughts, deeds, and actions, then the beautiful life. The rest is going to work itself out. So I want you to tell me what, because everybody wants action items. What are you doing on a daily basis from the moment that you wake up in the morning to the moment that you put your head down at night? Tell me what you do to do the work.
I mean, you touched the point, we'll close out with this. The thoughts that you have are the language to the mind. The feelings that you have are the experience of the body. Yes. So the thoughts that you think are the electrical output you're putting into the world, and the emotions you emit are the actual electrical charge going to the world. So how you think and how you feed are broadcasting an electrical magnetic signature of how you're viewing everything.
Bro, that was so profound. I have to say I love you for saying that. Keep going.
So, it's constantly auto-reflecting on self, like constantly turning the camera, because, when you point, it's you. You don't notice there's three fingers pointing back to you. Maybe one up if you want. This one is God, this one 3 to you, and one that way. So before I start pointing the finger, I constantly aim towards inside. I'm like, where is this coming from? Because brain cells that fire together, wire together. So you got to be really careful with the thoughts you're having, how you're reacting to things, because the goal is obviously not to react, is to act, to see the problem happen, take one deep breath and act upon the situation, but not react to the situation. Otherwise, you're a victim constantly to your outside world. And
stay right there, because you're so right. By the way, like I said, namaste. Dude, that was so profound what you just said. But let's be honest and go back to what you just said. The majority of the outside world not doing the work, which is, again, the 85-90% of the world, is brainwashed by, again, the matrix, whatever you call the mainstream, to be in victim mindset. Right? So you just said it best, and I want you to go even way deeper. And this is such an amazing podcast, brother. Like I said, I have such profound love for you, because we're not just talking about testosterone and optimization. We're literally talking about life.
It's just a tool. I'm trying to, that's one thing that I want people to understand. Testosterone is a tool, but it all starts here. It's, as you've always said, and I love how you say it's a hammer of the toolbox, but it's not the one tool that fixes the whole problem.
Right.
It's using that tool to eventually in the future, having, for me, my clinic, hormones is going to be a tool to optimize the mind.
Right.
Let's get your mind straight and everything will fix itself. So sorry, I interrupted.
No. I'm glad that you said that. I mean, I was just going to go just a little bit deeper and just say, like, in spiritual optimization, you know, when you're doing the work, what you're talking about, you know, through meditation, through grounding, through, you know, whatever else you do, sun gazing, whatever you do, connecting with nature, whatever you do to silence your mind, you know, this is how you can cope with this matrix, with this, you know, these outside,
right.
All these, you know, we talk about full spectrum dominance full spectrum optimization, but the dark forces are attempting full spectrum dominance of our biological system. So just give us a couple of things that you're doing literally now every day in your life that you absolutely positively
right here. Here's one of them.
Sure that you silence your mind and you get with God and you do what's the most important thing, right? Which is, you know, to be devotional. Just share with some of the tools that you are using.
So number one, I'm using Muse to help me keep accountable to my meditation. I can speak for myself, but from the people that I see, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs. If you're electing to choose entrepreneurship and go on your own and build something out of yourself, I've come to the profound understanding: if you're not meditating, you're going to lose your mind. I lost my mind. I literally lost my mind to the point, if I told you about 4 weeks ago, if I got more than 10 minutes of sleep, Jay, I would be exaggerating, dude. I did not stop spinning my wheels to the point I got on my knees in my sleep. I was in my knees praying to God, literally praying to God, like crawling in a fetus position in my sleep, like, please save me. You're talking about a guy, good looking. I have a decent life. I'm not worried about a lot of things. Like, I live a good life to the standard of marriage. But inside, suffering like you cannot even imagine. And I thank God for that suffering, because in order to be Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, the people who have suffered the most in life, if you notice, they're the most compassionate, loving, happy people. Because in order to see both sides, you have to have been on one side. It's what you do on that other side. So I have fallen a lot through survival, fear, identity crisis of how to connect with myself. That in those moments is where I've tried Vipassana meditation. I became a yoga instructor. I've done every breath type of work you can imagine. I've done the Wim Hof method. Nothing to me has worked better. And it's not even worked. It's just identifying and connecting and surrendering to God, Jesus, universe, whatever you want to call it, has been the most profound breakthrough for me. Where every day I wake up, the first thing I used to do is look at my bank account. Before I do that, my bank.
Those days are long gone, but
for me, they're still going because I have a goal, you know, and I got to see my goal every day. But before I do that, I put it down, I close my eyes, and I talk to God. I literally talk to God. I'm like, God, if my day goes to shit today, let me learn how to love you. Let me learn how to communicate with you a little better. Let me be a better human being. Give me tools that when I go back to bed, no matter what happens, I can value more the things that you've taught me. What I'm trying to say, the most beautiful and expensive things in this world don't have a price tag.
They're meaningless.
They're meaningless. They're beyond our outside world. And that's where part of the relentless education comes in, that if you're not constantly, like when I'm going through shit, I'm listening to the One You Feed podcast. You know, if you have so much information you have no excuse. If you're not teaching yourself, if you're not relentlessly learning, you're not a loser. You're just losing, buddy. You're losing. There's so much people with hunger trying to get ahead, and it's having that balance of the outworld, because we're playing this money game. Unfortunately, we got to play the money game.
The money magic system.
The money magic system, which is a whole, that's a whole other story. But the money magic system, and then keeping the internal magic system in balance, you know.
That's the key, bro. That's the key.
And I'll tell you that no matter how much money you have, I've had so many men walking through our doors, broken down. And I'm talking about have helicopters, jets, what, you name it, they have it. Yet they're the most unhappy people Absolutely. I can possibly see. And you asked me why I love my business. I love to see people that are 40, 50, 60, 70. And to learn from them is such a blessing because I get to learn from their mistakes and try to my best capability to avoid those things and create real quality, real relationships in my life.
That's awesome.
And that's my approach.
No, dude, that was amazing. I mean, this podcast has been amazing. I mean, I just want to go back to what you just said because it is true. All you have to do is before you go to bed at night, and of course, right when you wake up in the morning, regardless of what your morning routine is or your ritual, whatever you do, meditation, sun gazing, going out, connecting with nature, it can be just as good as like literally walking your dog through a forest, wherever you live, right? But it's about providing the mindset that you are in humble service to a much more powerful force, which again is God, Jesus, whatever you believe in.
Right.
But it's inside you and you are a part of it, meaning the collective. And all you have to do is exactly what you said. It's just be devotional. Accept that everything that's happening to you, the goodness, whether it's good or bad, is still being called from a divine level. And all you have to do is just surrender to it. And
Absolutely.
Dude, everything is going to work out. And in my personal life, once I started becoming more devotional, because I've been doing the work a long time, but it's like, a very, very powerful spiritual mentor who I only talk to now every now and then. She's told me like 2 years ago, she was like, Jay, you just need to be more devotional. And I was like, more devotional? What are you talking about? She's like, just give it all to God. Just morning and night, just wake up and go to bed and say, you know what, God, I'm just your humble servant. Just put me in the best position to do the best amount of work or the best service or the best creativity that I can, and let everything else go, bro. And not be attached to how much money's in your bank account, the car you're driving, your kids, your wife, things, whatever. It's just don't be attached. And once I started doing that, and again, it was about 2 years ago, and it still took 6 months when that advice came, but in the last 18 months, that's how I live my life. And you said it best. You wake up and you have that conversation, and it's not like you're externalizing it, right? You're just having a conversation with yourself. Right. You silence your mind. You just say, God, just put me in the best position where I can do the most good for someone.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, before I met you, I thought you were a cocky bastard.
I'm still a cocky bastard.
But until you meet, for those that don't know Jay, man, when you meet him in person, he's another person, man. No, you're the same person. It's just you emit an energy that is, it's beautiful.
My energy is your energy, bro.
It's an energy, yes. I recognize it.
That's why you said what you said when I was next to you, and then I met you, and I was like, holy shit, we should be doing businesses and stuff together. So, I mean, we have all this energy, but there are other guys like you and I on this planet, and women, who have the same energy. And I feel like, again, because it's collective, we're all drawn to each other, and there's no coincidences, right? It's all part of the divine plan, dude.
It's unprecedented. It's the word I use constantly.
How can people work with you and your clinic in Miami, where you guys are? And I know you're South Florida. I don't want you to be, it's just Miami. And then can you guys also do telemedicine for people?
Yes, we do. So you can call 786-401-5244, or you can visit our website, which is medicalhealthinstitute.com. You can find us online. We're the #1 5-star rated clinic in South Miami and in actually Dade County. So yeah, if you want to get optimized, as we spoke, not only physically, but mentally, in fact, today I'm leaving. When we leave here, which I'm going to connect you to a guy, I'm going to get it's a 2-hour brainwave study where I'm stabilizing my brainwave. So we're integrating that into what we do. Yes. So,
man, dude, it's been, like I said, all I can say is it's been an honor. I'm so glad we finally caught up. This has been an epic podcast. I'm actually going to push this up to the top of the thing. Thank you so much for coming on. As always, guys, if you guys are a TRT Revolution subscriber or watcher of this show, please support the people, the fine, amazing people I bring on the show. So if you are a guy and you are in South Florida, or even if you're not and you want to work with Michael, because you should want to work with Michael now, and people, please reach out to him. So I will shut this down. But thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you.